And welcome back to the Sports Fix on this Wednesday. Got the Stat Man coming up looking at a very topical issue soon. A World Game Guru's on the way and the same result as the first time. We got that for you as well. But right now it's time to check in with the Flow Man, and he's talking about a point post.
It was a point post last night that had Flow News 24 audiences entertained, as our own Jace Regan, featuring also Daniel Crouch and Ellis Gellius, got together and put up their first at the point post. It is about AFL, and it's going to be a regular feature each week, and we'll bring that to you here on Flow News 24. It's a little look at some of the issues that are happening in AFL, and one of the commentaries that they discussed on that podcast, which is a visual podcast for you. You can have a look at it at flownews24.com.au. And they discussed at length the concussion sub-issue. Now the Players Association boss, Paul Marsh, has said that it's a band-aid on a bigger issue as it prepares to introduce an injury substitution at AFL level. But the issue, Paul Marsh says, that the league's last-minute consideration of an injury substitution for the 2021 season, and with just 2 days out now from the season opener, he made these comments that the AFL weighing it up at this stage is, well, a very, very late decision. Stephen Quartermain, one of the respected commentators in AFL circles, says it's shambolic. I think that is closer to the mark. If the AFL does introduce a 23rd player to be included on a team's squad, it does change the whole spectre of how teams may select their side, who would be the concussion sub. And the idea of this, after the league met in January to tighten rules around medical head knocks, has been to put a substitution in. But I reckon that when we had this substitution previously, we went to 3 players off the interchange, and the idea of having a 4th player as the sub. I think that actually, if you're going to do it, and now you're going to introduce it with a 23rd player, simply adds to the cost of producing AFL, adds to the cost that each club will have to come up with, adds to the cost of going through the gate effectively, or the AFL or somebody has to pay for it. And ultimately, it makes the game even harder for country leagues where you simply are not going to be playing with concussion subs and so forth, where we've got 16 boys rocking up to play a senior game in some locations to keep that club going. And I think Paul Marsh goes on to say the AFL Players Association and their leaders are indifferent to an extra player being used, but felt as much as possible it needed to be done to protect the players from long-term effects of concussion, and that concussion, which is one of the serious issues that we're looking at right now, has to have minimisation steps taken for the risk to be removed from it. There's a foreseeable problem when the rule changes have been made last year around rotations. The man on the mark rule and the return to normal quarter lengths also are highlighted issues by Paul Marsh in his discussion. The coaches did meet last week and they were unanimous in seeing a positive step for the fairness of the game and improving performance, they said after it. But if an AFL player is deemed to have a medically diagnosed concussion, they would now automatically serve a 12-day break under the current rule. And concussion has become a hot topic not just in the AFL but across the world in sport, and even more recently the effects of CTE, which are becoming more well known. With that becomes a very real issue for collision type sports, and a very real issue that was well discussed on the new podcast at Flow News 24, which is called The Point Post.
From the point post, and teams hoping they can kick it between the two big ones, the BLG. The Flowman's going to take a look at the Barossa Light and Gawler Football League.
It is football back in the Barossa Light and Gawler, albeit they did play last year an abridged competition, which was a stunning year because second to bottom from 2019 were Gawler Central. They came out in 2020 and won the flag. Effectively, they were second to bottom, equal on points at second to bottom, and only a very small percentage off being bottom. So, in a sense, they've gone from bottom to top in 1 year from 2019 to 2020. But can the Gawler Central Tigers hold their own this season? Well, that becomes the very important question that we'll be following through. on our sports coverage with the Sports Fix and the Friday Night Sports Show. Going to that game last year in the grand final of the senior competition, A-grade football, Gawler Central way too good for South Gawler, 2014 to 11-10 in what was a strange 2020 season. 2021 though is not far away, and it's going to be a terrific opening round. We're looking forward to the competition getting started as out they come in round one on April the 10th. Saturday, Angaston play Barossa District's April 10, the week after Easter. Newry get South Gawler. Tanunda versus Kapunda. Williston play Gawler Central in a rivals game to start their seasons. Freeling has the bye in BLGFA, and it's going to be a very important season too for the clubs. It's a close competition to Adelaide. A lot of recruiting that's gone on, and senior footballers that come out of Adelaide to play up in the Barossa Light and Gawler. And too, it's a important competition because from last year, Gawler Central coming from so low down, and other clubs maybe just not having the player personnel, or even with the COVID circumstances, the will to get all of their key players back from out of Adelaide, their kids coming up to play. I think this could have had a real impact on how the Gawler Central side went from bottom to top, but this is going to be a terrific BLG season.
Yes, we certainly hope so, especially for my beloved Tanunda Magpies, and maybe this season, they could try and, I don't know, maybe win at least one game. As we move on to an additional club being added to a football and netball league.
We take a look at the Horsham District Football Netball League and getting cracking again for season 2021 after last year having a cancellation of the season. And at the time, the president of the Horsham District Football Netball League did state that it was in the best interests of the league to cancel the season, and that they would look to continue as 11 clubs in season 2021 in the best interests of those 11 clubs. Well, 2021 in the best interests has seen an additional club added to Horsham District Football and Netball League. That is the Canaiva-Leor Football and Netball Club joining Horsham District. So that is a terrific development, 12-team competition. We'll have a look at their first up round in a moment. But in a very good news story for our country football competitions, the AFL Victoria has welcomed the Victorian Government's latest announcement on COVID-19 public event framework that would see larger crowds being accessible for our sporting venues, so up to 5,000 spectators that would be allowed. And head of AFL Victoria, Brad Scott, said this is a positive development for community football across the state of Victoria, and 5,000 spectators, the number handed down. And in another move for the Wimmera Mallee area of the state, there is a request for tribunal panel members for 2021. And expressions of interest are being sought by the AFL Wimmera Mallee. If you would like to sit on a tribunal and decide cases and feel that you're duly qualified to do so, then contact jason.muldoon, MULDOON, at afl.com.au, or via mobile phone on 0417 133 990. And let's get to Horsham District Football and Netball League and where it is for this season. You might remember that Harrow Balmoral dominated the seniors competition of back in 2019. They won both seniors and reserves. They beat Narrajua Quantong, whose young Bomber squad made it to the grand final. Are they going to be back in earnest to go one better? The Bomber boys, they're going to have to recruit well still and put a really solid outfit on the park. Harrow Balmoral always turn up to play in this competition, and Eden Apsley and other clubs will want to put in good sides. The starting round is April the 10th. Harrow Balmoral play Pimpanayo. That is at Balmoral. Eden Apsley at Edenhope versus Laharam. Canaiva-Leor, their first up game at Canaiva against Kalki. Should be a beauty. Nadimak and Rapanya at Nadimak. Narrajua Quantong play the Swifts. Parrot Rainbow. The Storm get their first action at Rainbow against Taylor's Lake. Looking forward to covering Horsham District Football and Netball League this year with our regular guest, Peter Weir from the Parrot Rainbow Storm, and also for our Eden Apsley and Canaiva-Leor listeners, We will be bringing you a regular update each Friday afternoon on our South Australian radio service.
And we're counting down. It's not long to the start of local football and netball right across the Flow region. We're getting excited. We missed out on some of it last year. We want it back this year. So, yeah, we're quite excited and we're looking forward to bringing you as much as we can, along with AFL and other things as well. The Flow Man, he will be back on deck tomorrow with the morning show. He'll have some more Sports Fix moments for you. And, of course, he'll be back Friday afternoon on the Flow Sports Show with the Stat Man, who's up next looking at a big issue of the day.